And I'm not afraid to say, and I'm not afraid to say.
And I'm not afraid to say it. Welcome to Black Westchester presents the People Before Politics radio show. Today we are going to be talking about why mentally ill black men continue to be shot at, or killed by the police. If you've been following Black Westchester in the local news, you've seen that a mostly disturbed individual from New Rochelle, Jarrel Garris, was shot in the neck by New Rochelle police detective. I have to look up his name, but I will definitely make sure I say his name. The day before July 3rd, the day before the 4th, he was allegedly in the supermarket New Rochelle Farms, which I believe is 465 North Avenue on the corner of Lincoln Avenue. The store, he allegedly ate a couple of grapes and a banana. The store called the police. 3 officers, 2 women, and 1 male showed up. The male was a detective. They were following him up Lincoln Avenue, going towards Memorial Highway, asking him, hey, did you eat something in the supermarket? Did they pay for it? Whatever. One officer was following, female officer. Another female officer came down the street towards him. So he was looking at them and he started to walk across the street. When a third officer came coming from the direction of coming from North Avenue, you heard one lady say, what did the store want to do? The other female officer said they want to press charges. The detective then went to handcuff his right hand, and this is all by the body cam footage, the edited body cam footage they did release. They started to grab his left hand. He was pulling. There was a tussle. You can see him come out of one of his sneakers. He gets wrestled. As they're wrestling him to the ground, you hear the male detective say, tase him. And you can see the female officer pull out her taser. And then you hear the male officer say, gun. And all 3 released edited body cam footage end right there. What happened is he got shot in the neck. The New Rochelle police then released a statement that Jarrel grabbed for the officer's gun. They supposedly tried some life-saving techniques. He was brought to Montefiore, New Rochelle. They kind of tried to stabilize them. Montefiore, you've heard me talk about them, much like Mount Vernon. The New Rochelle hospital does not have a trauma center, so he had to be air-vac to Westchester Medical Center, where he has been touch and go. My original news coverage of it was that he was killed. And I got that from family members that on Thursday night he died at 7 p.m. His father and others had a press conference right in front of 19 Lincoln Avenue, which is where it happened, in front of St. Catherine AME Zion Church, and said he is not dead. But from what I understand, he is brain dead and on life support with little or no chance of survival. So medical experts that I talked to do not deem that as dead yet. So that he is not dead, but he is brain dead on life support. They just have not pulled the plug. And I confirmed that with the DA's office. The Westchester DA investigates up until there's a time that there's a death, which Cuomo made a mandate that once there's a killing at the hands of the police, the New York State AG's office will then handle the investigation. Right now, the investigation, as last word I heard yesterday, is still in the Westchester District Attorney's office. So he is still deemed alive, although he is brain dead and on life support with little or no chance of survival. Um, Damon is having some, I think my partner Damon is having a little Wi-Fi issues, so he will be on, but he may be in and out. He'll be on soon. We're going to talk about another incident, I believe, that happened in Nyack of another emotionally disturbed individual who was shot at or killed by the police up there. We'll be getting more into that. This is the second police shooting in New Rochelle since George Floyd. Kamal Flowers was killed the same week or days after George Floyd in New Rochelle. This is the second emotionally disturbed individual or someone with mental health issues killed in New Rochelle. And this is the second incident in recent weeks that this has happened in our region in the Hudson Valley. So we will be discussing this. We have a strong panel today. We have LaTanya Watkins, who will be joining us. I believe we have civil rights attorney Mayo Bartlett, who will be joining us. And my partner in crime, Damon K. Jones, will be here. I am AJ Woodson, your host and editor-in-chief of Black Westchester. And I just wanted to make sure I got all of that out in the beginning so you know what we're talking about. And I'm going to bring in LaTanya. Welcome to the show, my sister.
Good evening.
It was on better circumstances. I wish that we were not having the same conversation that we have been having over and over and over. I have a book, and I'm going to, you know what? I had put it on a shelf for a while. I have a book, and it's 90% done. I'm going to finish it and put it out immediately. White people cannot comprehend the deadly consequences of being Black. It is about police brutality. I started writing this somewhere around right after Eric Garner and Mike Brown, and then there was just so many incidences afterwards. And at some point, I didn't even update the list anymore, and I went on to do other things. And then when George Floyd happened, we all believed that George Floyd was the one incident. It was like a perfect storm because of COVID. Everyone was shuttered in and had no choice but to watch this footage over and over and over and over, which led to protests in almost every American city and up to 42 countries around the world. Absolutely. That was saying justice for George Floyd. We thought this was going to be a turning point. We thought, first, going back further, Eric Garner, like, oh, we got it on tape. What we needed. The ME deemed it homicide, murder. Things we were always asking for in all the other cases. We got it. No way they walking away from this. We were wrong. My partner Damon K. Jones joined us. Then, all these situations. So George Floyd, it's on tape. The cops are arrested. We just knew, everybody was talking about criminal justice reform. We all were under this major illusion that things were going to change. But there have been several killings since George Floyd. In New Rochelle, there have been 2 in that one city alone. And then I have a second book that will be coming out that was inspired by my brother Kenneth Chamberlain after the white people can't comprehend the deadly consequences of being Black. Westchester has our own George Floyd's, a deep dive into police brutality and the families affected. And then it will have interviews with all the families and everything and all the incidences that have happened in Westchester alone. So just wanted to paint the picture for you. This is why we're doing this. Again, Latanya, welcome to the show. Again, sorry
Thank you,
that we have
AJ.
to invite you because of this reason, and we have to have this conversation over and over and over again. Welcome to the show, my sister.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time and space always. I think, yeah, it is frustrating being here for this reason because I think we have the expectation that white people, who are the people in positions of power, privilege, and entitlement, will do something different. And the reality is that they won't. And I think we have to acknowledge that and then figure out collectively a plan to protect our most vulnerable. As much as we're talking about Black men with mental illness, the one that always stays with me and hurts me more than any, well, hurts me badly, I can't say it's more than any, was Eleanor Bumpers. Because she was my grandmother, she was your grandmother, she was all of our grandmother. And it's like, my God, she didn't want to be homeless. You knew she was mentally ill, and you murdered her for, I believe it was $40. I believe the rent that she owed on that day that she lost her life was something like $40. It was just outrageous. I I struggle with, and for me, it became personal when my friend Tina Davis died. She died at the hands of Spring Valley Police 3 years ago. And it became personal for me because we as a community knew that Tina suffered from mental illness. We knew that she had addiction issues. And the police knew her, and yet they dealt with her on that particular early morning the way that they did, which resulted in her death. The most recent incident, the Sean Harris incident in Nyack, the police didn't shoot him. It's alleged that he took pills. No one believes that. He was shot with beanbags through his mother's glass door that struck him. He retreated back into the house. The police didn't follow him into the house. He was in the house for hours. No one's sure what he was doing. And then when the police finally did go in, they claimed that he had he was non-responsive. So the beginning of that horrible story was that his mom, he did have emotional and mental health challenges. And his mom brought in a community-based organization that addressed mental health challenges with adolescents that would be able to help him get the services that he needed so he can come back. He was a college student. He was a lacrosse player. Like, he was a functional child, young person. He wasn't in crisis on the day that the social workers from the CARE organization went there. They were just following up. So 2 white social workers went to the home, and he was dismissive. He was playing video games. He wasn't interested. So they went upstairs. He came upstairs, had a conversation with his mother that the white social workers deemed volatile. So they got up, said nothing to his mother, went outside, called the police. The next thing she knew, there was a knock on her door. She opened the door, and her home was surrounded. Her block was shut off. She had every police officer in the town of Clarkstown surrounding her home, as well as a SWAT team. And that's how she was introduced to the fact that the white social workers were afraid. They never said to her, we believe that this is a volatile situation. They never tried to de-escalate what they believed was a volatile situation. They simply got up and left. So clearly, cultural competency is an issue in this situation. No one in his family believes that he took pills. But for me, even if he did, imagine that you would, as a 19-year-old man, be so afraid of the police harming you again or further, or killing you, that you would kill yourself first. That's still, for me, death by suicide, death by cop. It doesn't change the fact that they believe that he did it to himself. But I think there's a lot of questions that need to be answered in that situation. And we are protesting at 5 o'clock every day until there are questions that are answered from either the Attorney General's office, the CARE program, the town of Clarkstown Police, or anyone else who has answers regarding this situation. For me, it is very frustrating, and for many people in our community, that we get alarmed. I mean, George Floyd was huge. His first cousins live in this county. I'm very good friends with his first cousin. We were alarmed and we were upset. They threw hundreds of millions of dollars at it, and we shut right up. So now there's another one. So now we're going to be alarmed and upset about this one. And then as soon as someone throws money at it, we're going to move forward, as if money is the panacea to fix the murders that happen in our communities. Our most vulnerable are those who can't speak for themselves, defend themselves, advocate for themselves, our mentally ill brothers and sisters who exist within our communities. If we can't protect them, imagine that a 19-year-old with mental illness has the mind of a 5-year-old. If this happened to a 5-year-old, we would be flipping cartwheels.
That's right.
But because he's viewed as a 19-year-old, and they kept saying man, and the terms that they use to describe him, as they always do, are very inhumane and almost explosive. Like, you don't tell people that he was a vulnerable 19-year-old. You tell people that he was a big 19-year-old man.
Right.
No, he wasn't. He was a kid. He was a kid who was talking trash. You want the truth? He was talking trash to his mother. And like many mothers of color, specifically Black mothers, yeah, okay, you say whatever you say, as long as you don't do anything stupid. And that's really what her position was. As long as you don't do anything, you can say whatever you want to say. Okay, you upset because I won't buy you a phone. I get it. But instead of the social workers who were in the home being culturally competent to understand that if she's not alarmed, they shouldn't be. They decided for themselves that they were fearful, not for her safety, even though that's what they say. You were just fearful for your own safety. And that's why you got up and you walked out of the house and left the mother in the house. If you're scared that he's going to do something to the mother, because that's who he's threatening, he's not threatening you, he's threatening his mother.
Wow.
You get up, you don't say anything to the mother. You leave her in the house and go outside and call the police. Who does that? You didn't say anything to him. You didn't try to de-escalate it. You didn't ask the mother. You didn't feel for how she was feeling and what she would have preferred in that situation. You just decided, because of your privilege and entitlement, that you're going to make all decisions in this situation. There was no violence. In spite of what you'll read in the media, hear in the media, there was no violence in this home. He did not destroy not one thing in his mother's home. He didn't. He said whatever he said. No one was concerned but the white women.
Wow.